Hey everybody, welcome back to All About My Entertainment. It's all about me. We are continuing on with Angels Month. We are coming across probably our strongest dual-colored deck here. It's our white and our black. This is probably a lot less casual, and the reason why this one's less casual is because uh, a lot of the spells and the combos are strong. There's an infinite combo that bounces back and forth with like the veto and exsanguinate, not exsanguinate, exquisite blood thing where you lose life, you gain life, then when you gain life, they lose life. That whole thing, that infinite combo. It's in there mostly for the effect of if I'm playing stronger decks and people are like, well, you have stronger decks, and I don't have a stronger deck. This is the strongest one that I could pull in there. But casually, you can still have it in the deck. Just be casual about it and don't play the infinite combo, right? You can play one of the two pieces. You don't need to play both of them at the same time and win like that unless the game's been going on for 2 hours and like, let's just end the game. So keep that in mind. There's also a lot more game changers apparently in this deck than I was familiar with. So if you do play the bracket system, I don't play the bracket system. We just, have a chat about what we're doing. But if you do play the bracket system, you'll need to take out a couple and adjust them as need be. But yeah, it is casual if you play it casually, but it can be a lot stronger if you want to play with some stronger people. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, let's move on forward. I chose the commander to be Lisa, Shroud of Dusk. 2 mana, 2 white, and a black. So her thing is rather than pay 2 mana for each previous time you cast the spell from the command zone, you can pay 2 life that many times instead. So basically, the commander taxes an additional 2 times. So it's 5, 7, 9, 11. Or you can do 5 mana every time and then just pay an additional 2 life. So 5 mana, 2 life. 5 mana, 4 life. And that's a great workaround because there's a lot of life gain in this deck. She also has flying and lifelink, and then whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. She is a 5/5. All right, let's get started. We got planes, fancy planes there. Assault Intercessor, 1 a white and a black. It has first strike and menace. Menace meaning you need at least 2 creatures to block it. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. It's a 3/2. Weathered Wayfarer, 1 white. You can pay a white and tap it to search your library for a land card. You reveal it, put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only if an opponent controls more lands than you. It's a 1/1. A swamp. Stop being sticky. There we go. Suture Priest, 1 and a white. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain a life. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may have that player lose 1 life. It's a 1/1. Command Tower, add a mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Archangel's Light, 7 and a white. You gain 2 life for each card in your graveyard. Then shuffle your graveyard into your library. That's great in case you come against somebody that likes to mill you, so they mill you over back. You're like, oh no, I gotta get them all back. Swamp. Teferi's Protection. This is a game changer. 2 and a white. Until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out, and then you exile it. Sword of Hearth and Home, 3 mana. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from green and white. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own. Then search your library for a basic land card. Put both cards onto the battlefield under your control. Then shuffle. Equip cost 2. Angel's Feather, 2 mana. Whenever a player casts a white spell, you may gain a life. Soul Ring, pay 1 to tap it and add 2 colorless. Demonic Tutor, this is a game changer. 1 and a black. Search your library for a card, put that card in your hand, then shuffle. Grey Merchant of Asphodel. 3 and 2 black. When it enters the battlefield, Each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. Your devotion is the little pips up in the corner. So with him and her out and intercessor, that's 4 black. So each opponent will lose 4 life, and then you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So if you have 3 opponents, 4, 4, and 4, that's 12 life you gain. And it is a 2/4. Painful Quandary, 3 and 2 black. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they discard a card. Yeah, I know. She likes this deck because it is stronger and because it is ruthless, and so that's what she's here for. Pay no mind to the sadist in the corner of the screen. Armillary Sphere, 2 mana. You can pay 2 to tap it and sacrifice it. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle. Holy Day, 1 white. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. Idyllic Tutor, 2 and a white. Search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. This is a fun one. It's kind of mean. Overwhelming Splendor. You pay 6 and 2 white. You enchant a player. Enchanted player that the creature's enchanted player controls lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1. Enchanted player can't activate abilities that aren't mana abilities or loyalty abilities. So if it's a mana ability or a planeswalker ability, you can activate it. Otherwise, if it's not one of those two, you can't activate any activated abilities. Opposition Agent, this is also a game changer. 2 and a black is Flash, meaning cast at an instant speed. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them. It is a 3/2. Elenda, the Dusk Rose, 2, a white, and a black. It has lifelink, and whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Elenda, the Dusk Rose. When she dies, create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is her power. She is a 1/1. Plains. Sarah's Sanctum. This is a game changer as well. You can tap it to add white for each enchantment you control as a legendary land. Wound Reflection, 5 and a black. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. So, if you hit somebody for 4 damage during combat, and then at the end of the turn, they take another 4 damage. Exquisite Blood, 4 and a black. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Myriad Landscape, it enters tapped. You can tap it for a colorless, or you can pay 2 and tap it to sack it. Search your library for 2 basic land cards that share a land type, so 2 plains or 2 swamps. Put them in the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Cunning Rhetoric, 2 and a black. Whenever an opponent attacks you and or one or more planeswalkers you control, exile the top card of that player's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type may be spent to cast it. Skyclave Relic, 3 mana. It has a kicker of 3, meaning you can pay 3 for the original and then pay an additional 3 for the kicker. It has Indestructible. And then when it enters, if it was kicked, you create 2 tapped tokens that are copies of it. So it taps and adds 1 mana of any color, so you create 2 tokens, then you get 3 tappable mana sources. Drana and Linvala, 1, 2 white, and a black. Flying and Vigilance. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. Drana and Linvala have all activated abilities of all creatures your opponents control, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities. She's a 3/4. Charismatic Conqueror, 1 and a white. Vigilance. Whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield untapped and under an opponent's control, they may tap that permanent. If they don't, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. It's a 2/2. Scoured Barrens, it enters tapped. When it enters, you gain a life, and you can tap it for white or black. Cruel Celebrant, a white and a black. Whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. It's a 1/2. We got a Swamp. Archangel Elspeth, 2 and 2 white. You can +1 to create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. You can -2 to put 2 +1/+1 counters on a target creature, and it becomes an angel in addition to its other types and gains flying. Or you can -6 to return all non-land permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't know how much that one's going to take place because this deck actually has a lot of high mana value stuff. Rise of the Dark Realms, 7 and 2 black. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Teysa Karlov, 2, a white and a black. If a dying creature causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, so Cruel Celebrant, that ability triggers an additional time. And then creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. She is a 2/4. Angel of the Ruins, 5 and 2 black. Flying. When Angel enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Or you can Plains Cycle, meaning you pay 2 and discard this card from your hand. You search your library for a Plains card, reveal it, put in your hand, and then shuffle. That is a 5/7. Debtor's Knell, 4 mana and then either 3 white, 3 black, or a combination thereof. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So that could be your graveyard, opponent's graveyard. If they got a creature, you're like, yoink, it's mine. Land tax, 1 white mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards. Reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle. Swamp. Replenish, 3 and a white. Return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Swamp. Plains. Johnny's Welcome, 1 white. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. Bolas's Citadel. This is also a game changer. 3 and 3 black. It's a legendary artifact. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, you may pay life equal to the mana value rather than pay its mana cost. And then you can tap it and sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, and each opponent loses 10 life. Revenge of Ravens, 3 and a black. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life, and you gain a life. So it says whenever a creature attacks you. So if they attack you with multiple creatures, they will lose a life for each creature, and you will gain a life for each creature. Plains. Akroma's Memorial, 7 mana. Creatures you control have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and red. Sanguined Bond, 3 and 2 black. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. And I think this is one that also combines with for the combo. So whenever an opponent loses life, you gain life, and then whenever you gain life, target opponent loses life. So those two together put into a combo. Feel free to remember that. Again, if you're playing casually, to either do one or the other, not both. Plains. Shadow Spear, 1 mana. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and lifelink. You can also pay 1. Permanents your opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Equip cost 2. Serra Ascendant, it's 1 mana. 1 white mana. It has lifelink. And as long as you have 30 or more life, Sarah Ascendant gets +5/+5 and has flying. That's a 1/1. That's a great turn 1 play. People hate when you do that. Ghostly Prison, 2 and a white. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, 5 mana and 3 white. Flying, Vigilance, and Indestructible. Other permanents you control have Indestructible, and she's an 8/8. Plains. Baneslayer Angel, 3 and 2 white. She has Flying, First Strike, Lifelink, Protection from Demons and from Dragons. It's a 5/5. And with Tarkir out recently, all those dragon decks, she's a great one to have for that. Sudden Spoiling, 1 and 2 black. It's an instant with split second, meaning as long as it's on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that are not mana abilities. Creatures target player controls become 0/2 and lose all abilities until end of turn. We got Celestine, the Living Saint, 4 and a white. This is from the 40k Warhammer set, and they don't have angels. And she's a human warrior, but it's the closest thing to an angel in that section, so semantics. Flying and lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn, as she's 3/4. Seal of the Guild Pact, it's 5 mana. When it enters, you choose 2 colors, white and black. Each spell you cast with cast 1 less to cast. Each spell you cast costs 1 less to cast for each of the chosen colors it is. So, for all of the multicolored spells out here, it will now cost 2 less. So that's 2 less, that's 2 less, that's 2 less. Yeah, that's a good one to have on there. We like that. Cost reduction stuff. Hour of Revelation, 3 and 3 white. This spell costs 3 less to cast if there are 10 or more non-land permanents on the battlefield. Destroy all non-land permanents. Scoot just a little, okay, thank you. Reliquary Tower, no max hand size, tap and add for colorless. Plains and Swiftfoot Boots, 2 mana. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Equip cost 1. Swamp. Deadly Rollick, 3 and a black. I thought this one was, but it doesn't look like it is a game changer, so don't mind that. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Exile target creature. Another swamp. Another swamp. This is a fun one. Death Grip, 2 black. You can pay 2 black and counter a green spell as it is being cast. This ability is played as an interrupt and does not affect green cards already in play. Black doesn't really have any counter spells. It's got like this and one other or something. So, and it's very particular for just against green, but green's probably one of the most common and popular colors, so it's not a bad thing to have. And it's fun. It's great. Greater Oromancy, 1 and a white. Other enchantments you control have Shroud, and enchanted creatures you control have Shroud. Plains. Cryptghast, 3 and a black. You may use the Extort ability, which is whenever you cast a spell, you may pay white or black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain that much life. So 3 opponents, they lose 1 life each, you gain 3. And then, whenever you tap a swamp for mana, you add an additional black. It's a 2/2. Plains. Swamp. Polluted Bonds. 3 and 2 black. Whenever a land comes into play under an opponent's control, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. We got Orzhov Basilica. It enters tapped, and when it enters, you return a land you control to your hand, and it taps for a white and a black. Swamp. Kumbal, Consul of Allocation. 1, a white and a black. feel like there was another card ball somewhere. Oh well. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. It's a 2/3. Swamp. Deathbringer Liege, 2 mana, and then either 3 white, 3 black, or any combination thereof. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1. Other black creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast a white spell, you may tap a target creature. And whenever you cast a black spell, you may destroy target creature if it is tapped. It's a 3/4. Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, 2 and a black. This is also one that would work with either Exquisite Blood or Sanguine Bond, because it's whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. You can also pay 3 and 2 black. Creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. It is a 1/3. The Vizkopa Guildmage, 1 white and 1 black. You can pay 1 white and 1. You can pay 1 a white and a black, and target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Or you can pay 1 a white and a black, and whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life. It's a 2/2. Arcane Signet, 2 mana, taps for a white or a black based on your commander's color identity. Smothering Tithe, this is a game changer. 3 and a white, and whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If the player doesn't, you create a treasure token. Aether Vial, 1 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a charge counter on Aether Vial. You can tap it, and then you may put a creature card with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Aether Vial from your hand to the battlefield. That's a good way to cheat out stuff, especially some of the more expensive things. Chalice of Life, 3 mana. Tap to gain 1 life. Then if you have at least 10 more life than your starting total, transform it. And you transform it into tap to target player loses 5 life. Into the Chalice of Death. Chalice of Life and Chalice of Death. Hurrah, hurrah, hooroo. Marchesa's Decree, 3 and a black. When it enters, you become the monarch. And then whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life. Demon's Horn, 2 mana. Whenever a player casts a black spell, you gain a life. Phyrexian Flesh Gorger. It's 7 mana and it has a prototype ability. So you may cast this spell with a different mana cost, color, and size, and keep its abilities and types. So the normal one is 7 mana. You get Menace and Lifelink, and then it also has Ward. You have to pay life equal to its power in order to target it, and it's a 7/5. If you do its prototype, it's 1 and 2 black. It's a 3/3, and it still has those abilities. Elas Kor, Sadistic Pilgrim, a white and a black. It has Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. And whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. It's a 2/2. Alhamaret's Archive, 5 mana. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life. If you would draw a card, except the first one you draw on each of your draw steps, draw 2 instead. Angelic Chorus, 3 and 2 white. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to its toughness. Running out of space here because you like to take up space and participate in these things. Yeah, you're going to just have to suck it up. I don't know how sometimes I make it all fit and sometimes I don't. Just all over the place. Ancient Tomb, this is a game changer. You tap it to add 2 colorless, and it does 2 damage to you. We got a Plains. We got a Legion's Landing. It's 1 white. When it enters, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. And whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you transform it. You transform it into Adanto, the First Fort. It taps for a white, or you can pay 2 and a white to tap it and create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Swamp. Exsanguinate. X and 2 black. So you can pay as much mana you want into the X, and then that makes up for the number in it. So each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So if you pay 5X and 2 black, each opponent loses 5 life, and you gain 15 life. It's a great one. Plains. Sensei's Divining Top, 1 mana. You can pay 1. You look at the top 3 cards of your library, and then you put them back in any order. You can then tap it to draw a card, and then you put Sensei's Divining Top on top of its owner's library. And finally, a Plains. All right. Well, this is the last of the dual-colored Draining Angels. It is tougher. It is a stronger deck for sure. And depending upon how you play it, you can keep stuff in it and it still be casual, as long as you don't mull over the combos and just wreck people super fast. And if it feels too strong for you anyway, take out some of the game changers, take out the infinite combo or one of the pieces of the infinite combo, replace it with something else. Again, hard to get in a bunch of angels because there's not a lot of black angels. So I had to make up with some things here and there. But I played this one before. It's a lot of fun. Does a lot of good stuff. This is probably one of the more engaged mechanics with a lot of the life gaining and draining and pinging and all of that stuff than I have with, say, the other angels, which seem to be more just like put out angels and gain life or create tokens, which is easy. And then they also have equipment, we swing big. So real simple. This one's more diverse with that aspect to it. But it's fun. Remember that it has a bunch of stuff in it. So if you're playing brackets, adjust that, take those out, or just don't play them. Play it smart. Play chill. Be chill with it. It's fine. Anyway, I like this one. Hope you guys like it. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you later. Peace.